Um, I I remember growing up and being appalled at what was happening in South Africa, with Nelson Mandela and that whole movement, civil rights movement down there. Um, and for me to turn my nose up at them, I really didn't think that it was an issue here. I was really blind to to how bad it was here and how bad it is here. Um, there have been some pretty extensive studies done, by our own government. Uh, I have to find this study because I reference it a ton, and I just let's see if I can find it. Racial achievement gap. It was at HHS. Okay, I'll have to find it. I'll have to look for that, and because that's something that I reference a lot, and I would like to actually have the study in front of me. But the basic gist is, there's a study done, looking at, just socioeconomic, like people, how well they do socioeconomically, the different challenges they face, and at what rate they face them. Um, and they found that, black people have um, a achievement gap, regardless of income, regardless of anything other than the fact that they're black, have a consistent achievement gap across the board, and that has not improved since the civil rights movement. That black people's general well-being has not gotten better since the civil rights movement of in the '60s. Um, we hmm, we don't treat them like human beings systemically. We don't. We never dealt with, like, a big challenge that we've faced is, like, our country was founded on free labor. Our country was built on the backs of slaves. Um, and we've gotten better. Obviously, we don't have chattel slavery right now. Chattel, we don't have, but we've found different ways to jerk back in the other direction. Um, we talked about, coups and insurrections. Um, that's the only one I know of that happened on a federal level. But there is an actual, in our history, there were, after the Civil War, and I believe maybe, yeah, in the 1800s, um, there were towns that had a lot of black elected officials that were there. The white citizens of these towns, there was an insurrection, there was a coup, and they basically they lynched a ton of them, and the other, everyone they didn't lynch retired and fled the city. Like, we gave them their freedom, but we didn't protect them from the racism that we were built on. You know, so we went from chattel slavery to chain gangs. Um, We went from chain gangs to Jim Crow. We went from Jim Crow to law and order policing to mass incarceration. We the same underlining prejudices are there, even if material conditions keep improving incrementally. We haven't done real things to really solve that. To really, I mean, we're never going to solve racism, but like we haven't taken. American politics is always very reactive. It's never proactive. We don't do long-term ideas. When something's a problem, we slap a band-aid on it and we move on. That's a big problem that I've had with Democrats, is that they do that a lot too. Joe Biden is a huge example of, I mean, if you look at him arguing for the crime bill, which was pretty popular at the time, and has done horrible things to our criminal justice system. It's kind of like his cardinal sin, I would say. When you see him arguing in support of this, you know, you'll see Sanders. You'll see Sanders on the other end of the argument saying, like, we need to solve these issues systemically. We can't just keep addressing, you know. And Joe Biden was like, literally comes out and is like, who cares? You know, I just want us to be safe. That we wait until things get that bad to do anything. And it's always very reactive. Crime is a huge issue, so let's punish the criminals and hope that it just goes away. And it hasn't gone away, by the way. Although I seriously question how many of how many of the people who are in jail or prison actually committed the crimes that they were accused of, because our system is just incredibly corrupt. Maybe corrupt might be the word. If it's not corrupt, it's just dysfunctional. It does not work, and it's oppressive. That's the right word. It's oppressive. You can be picked up on suspicion of a crime, and the police will try their very best to pressure you into a plea bargain. And if you don't plea bargain, oftentimes you have to await the trial in jail if you can't make bail. And that could take years. So essentially what's happening at that point is that you're in jail indefinitely until your trial comes up for a crime that you didn't commit. You could go to jail. There was someone who went to jail for 3 years and ended up being found innocent of the crime. Who's going to give them that time back? How is that right? That's something that is legal. No mistakes were made there. That's our criminal justice system functioning. That's how it functions. It's a way to expedite the legal process, is that we're just going to try to, you know, pressure people into plea bargains so we don't have to do the work of putting together a case. And people are scared of doing jail time, so some of them will just take the plea bargain, do community service or whatever, and then they have, you know, they have a permanent record as an innocent person. And wouldn't you know it, it happens a lot more to black people than anyone else. And we haven't fixed that. That's our reality. And the people enforcing them, the people enforcing these things are cops and prosecutors. But, you know, obviously more of the focus is on cops who I read something that like 90% of them are Trump supporters or something like that. Like, we have undertrained, overpaid police officers who legally are not held accountable. Um, like, it's impossible to win with our current laws. It's impossible to win a case against a cop. Almost, it's borderline impossible, as has been demonstrated, however many times. It's not just that like the people involved in these cases are racist. It's that the laws support a lack of accountability. Um, I can find those laws specifically that. I forget the specific policy, but there's basically a policy that it's very hard to hold police officers accountable and prove that they weren't within their rights to do whatever they were doing. It's like it's a really really crazy law that pretty much gets used in most cases involving police officers. We win some, but you know if a cop was to walk outside right now and shoot an unarmed black person and while they're running away, they'd probably be found innocent. That's actually happened several times. It happened in my city, actually, a couple years ago. It's not a rarity. And these people basically control our criminal justice system. These people make the arrests. And they're not held accountable. They're not. In situations, the whole argument for police officers, argument for why we need more police officers is that we need to keep people safe. We need to protect people. That's like the core idea around police officers functioning as they do in our society. That's the main argument, that we need people to be safe, right? Police officers don't have to protect you. They don't. You can find case after case after case where there was actual danger. There was someone with a knife. There was something happened where someone was a danger to the public, and cops would stay in their car. They would leave. They have no legal obligation to protect you. So what? What the hell are we? How are we able to even make the argument that we don't need to change things? At the very least,